2 full weeks down of May 2025, and the Greater Toronto Area real estate market has hit yet another active inventory milestone. I'm going to touch on that in today's video. I'm also going to walk you through what has happened through the first 2 weeks in the Greater Toronto Area when it comes to new listings, sales, listing terminations. I'm also going to give you a kind of midway price rundown on what is happening with prices across Toronto, Durham, York, Peel, and Halton region. All of that in today's video. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Rob Marsiglio. I'm a sales representative with Valerie Real Estate. That's Canada's first ever AI-powered brokerage. Each week on this channel, I do a deep dive into what I am seeing in the numbers to help you make smarter, more informed decisions when it comes to your home buying or home selling process. If that's the type of content that really resonates with you, you find valuable, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any of my updates going forward. We'll get right into that milestone, okay? So this was the update that I shared on Monday of this past week. And if you followed me for any length of time over on X, Threads, Blue Sky, you know I update this every single Monday, keeping you up to date as what is happening with months of inventory. Our active listings for May 12th, we're at 29,730. I'm recording this video on May 16th in the morning. And here is how this number has changed. We've added about 700 active listings between new listings coming to market and other listings being terminated or sold. And we're up to 30,435 active listings across the Greater Toronto Area. Now, as far as I can tell, this is the first time that we have seen this number eclipse the 30,000 mark, and I am talking in history. I want to walk you through how I came to this conclusion. Here's a look at active listings from TREB MarketWatch perspective. And I've done a couple data callouts here. Most recently is April 2025's number, which was 27,386 active listings. You have to go all the way back to 2008 to find numbers in that kind of that range. October 2008 coming in at 28,473. September 2008 coming in at 28,095 active listings. A couple important things to remember when comparing TREB MarketWatch data to the number that I share every single week. TREB MarketWatch has a little bit of a different criteria for their active listings. I personally am just looking at every single condo and freehold listing across the GTA, being Toronto, Durham, York, Peel, and Halton region. TREB MarketWatch has a slightly different criteria, looking at kind of the biggest property types, the most populated property types, let's call them, being detached homes, townhomes, semi-detached homes, condo apartments, condo townhomes, co-op apartments, link properties, etc., etc. And they look at a specific geographic region. So it's all of the GTA, and then they also include places like Innisville, Orangeville, up in Simcoe County, okay? So slightly different way of arriving at the number, but we come pretty close, and I'm going to show you that in just a little bit of time. But back to this chart. The other thing that TREB does is that they wait until all of the end of month expiries to report their numbers. So if you go back to September 2008, where we had 28,095 active listings, on September 29th or on September 30th at some point, there's actually closer to 29,500 active listings. That's because at the end of the month, there were 1,400 listings that expired and came off the system. Similar when you go to October 2008, which was a higher number than September, but there was only 845 active listings that came off the system. So it would bring this number up into, the low 29,000s as well. In April 2025, there were only 551 listings that expired per the TREB MarketWatch criteria. So, we would have been still shy of that 28,000 number in April 2025 at the very peak. When you fast forward to where we are at right now, currently, this is as of around 10 a.m. on May 16th, per the TREB MarketWatch criteria, we're at 30,440 active listings. So again, just to give my numbers some validity, here is my update, again, looking at all property types in just the GTA, and that's 30,435 active listings at the exact same time. So you're only talking a 5 active listing difference between the numbers that I'm reporting on a weekly basis and TREB's MarketWatch numbers, at least at this point in time. And one more time to give that TREB MarketWatch number a little bit of context and maybe to help you kind of project where we are headed. It's usually at around this time of year, as you can see from the median and the average monthly active listings, that we start to roll over. Average creeps up from May to June when you look at every single year going back to 2008, but the median starts to roll over. So really May is our peak for active listings. And we are already, 50% higher than what we'd see in the kind of average or median year in May, only 2 weeks into the month. So I expect to see this number climb even higher, and it wouldn't surprise me to see the Treb Market Watch number actually hit that 30,000 mark officially by the end of the month or by the start of June, again, for the first time in history. And it's why I can confidently say that it's really the first time we've seen inventory levels at this number in the Greater Toronto Area. So that's our inventory milestone. Congratulations, GTA Real Estate, 30,000 has been achieved. Let's dive into what is happening on the ground activity-wise for the first couple weeks of May, comparing it back to every year going back to 2008 to see how this month is stacking up historically. For this portion of the video, we'll go from the least exciting number to the most exciting. So we'll start with new listings. You can see that so far through 2 weeks of May 2025, we've had just over 10,000 new listings hit the market, about 3,900 condo listings, and about 6,500 freehold listings. The freehold number kind of stacks up to what we saw, 2022, 2021. It's really been kind of a ho-hum freehold new listing month. It's when you get to the condos through those first 2 weeks that you can see it is really by far and away the most new listings we've seen through the first 2 weeks, by about 300 or so. 2024 was the previous high in terms of new condo listings across the GTA. And again, it all shakes out to that 10,342 number. Those average to above average new listings numbers have been met by extremely underwhelming sales numbers. This is a trend that's continued through the year. Treb Market Watch report had sales down 23% year over year in April. And we are seeing here that sales through the first 2 weeks are down about 400 sales from where we were in 2024. On the freehold side, it's the fewest sales that we've seen, throwing out 2020, which we always throw out 2020 because April, May were just brutal. Even that whole year was just all skewed. And on the condo side, again, only 853 condo sales reported through the first 2 weeks of May. That again is second lowest to 2020. All told, 2,814 sales have been reported across the GTA through the first 14 days of May. Slamming those two numbers together gives us our sales as a percentage of new listings. You can see that on the freehold side, we're at 30% roughly. On the condo side, we're at about 22%. This is the lowest number that we've seen going back to 2008 on both fronts. And by this metric, which tells us that anywhere between 40 and 60% is a balanced market. If you're getting over 60%, you're in a seller's market, and under 40%, you're in a buyer's market. Puts us firmly in buyer's market territory for both property types. How have prices been affected? We'll get into that in just a little bit at the end of the video, so stick with me for that one. But before we get to that, it's listing terminations and expiries through 14 days in May. We've had almost 5,300 listings come off the market by seller choice or just lack of buyer interest. It either expires because it's been sitting on the market for a while, or the sellers aren't getting the numbers they want, so they pull the property off the market. So this is a new high for both freehold and condo properties, kind of reaching that 5,277 number. It's 2,170 condos that have been removed from the market by the seller, and it's 3,107 freehold properties that have been removed from the market. So by far the biggest portion of condos that we've seen going back to 2008, and again, slightly higher than the 2022 number on the freehold side, which you can remember 2022 May, that was really the second month of the correction, maybe the third month. It started late February, early March once those rates started to come up. So again, we're looking at numbers that, are reminiscent of that big correction that we saw in early 2022. The message stays the same for buyers and sellers. Buyers, it doesn't hurt to really be patient right now. If you're not in a situation where you really need to move, I don't think waiting is going to cost you anything right now. Sellers are still not necessarily getting the numbers they want, as is kind of being highlighted by these numbers that I'm sharing. And sellers, if you're in that position where you need to sell, pricing aggressively, pricing very sharply, it's very important right now. Presenting that property is very important right now, and just being reasonable with offers that you're getting from buyers. If buyers aren't getting the deal they want from your place, and you don't have that kind of 10 out of 10 property that everybody's interested in, they're just moving on to the next property. To wrap the video up, we're here in Trendly.com, which is another reporting tool that I use sometimes. They do a good job at keeping sale prices up to date, really on a weekly basis, so we can get a view into what is happening with sale prices. So this is a weekly basis for the last 12 months in the Toronto freehold segment. And here's what price activity kind of looks like going back to the beginning of the year. You can see that we had a bit of a fall off in the median price in April. Again, might just be a little bit of noise. We're really trading within this band between 1.2 million and 1.4 million, and that median price has edged upwards from kind of that last couple weeks in April to the first couple weeks in May. We'll see where this trend goes, but right now it looks like prices are holding relatively steady. It wouldn't be surprising to see them go up just a little bit in May's Market Watch report versus where they were in April. The condo side doesn't have that really, promising tick up in median sale price, at least for sellers looking to sell their condos. We know all about the Toronto condo market and the struggles it's having right now, but median sale prices, have hovered in and around that $630,000 mark all year on a weekly basis. Started to fall off a little bit from the end of April to where we're at in May right now. So nothing that really indicates we're going to see prices run away in the Toronto condo market. Getting into Durham region, and sorry, it's broken record, kind of same story here. Pretty flat median weekly sale prices in Durham region. A bit of a fall off into the first week of May, but it seems to have bounced back a little bit. All in all, pretty flat. Not a ton of price movement in Durham region either. A little bit more volatility in York region. Our low week was the first week in January where we actually saw that median price point drop below $1 million for the first time in at least 12 months. But recovered slightly up to that 1.2 mark and has really, hovered for 1.2 as a high down to, just shy of 1.1 as a low. That was back in March. But I'd say this trend line is slightly upward for median prices overall in York region. Again, wouldn't be surprising to see York region prices reported a little bit higher in May's Market Watch versus April's. Two more markets to go, starting with Peel, and here is what that trend looks like. No big swings. These are weekly median sale prices, so it's a pretty isolated sample size each time is what you have to take into account when you're looking at this. But just using this to look for trends, are prices running away in any segment? And I think the answer with Peel is that it doesn't look like it. That median sale price has stayed under $1 million all year in Peel region. We were kind of touching up over $1 million in September and October, a couple weeks last year, but has stayed really in that 900,000 to call it 950 band for most of 2025 so far. And lastly, here is Halton region. A lot of noise up and down, but again, really kind of staying in that band of, let's call it 1 million to about $1.1 million for the median weekly freehold sale price. Now, median sale price, average sale price, even that benchmark is not indicative of true market value of any property. It's just what is selling. It just is an indicator of, sellers being happy with that number more so than actual market value. But we're not seeing these big run-ups that we saw over the kind of first couple years of the 2020s. Things are pretty flat, and this is a trend that I could see continuing for the next little bit of time. There's really nothing out there to tell me that prices are going to take off in the near future. So all in all, we're seeing activity continue to slow down relative to history. May sales are really lagging. New listings are around average. Terminations are way up, indicating to me that sellers aren't really happy with prices they're getting. I think that's indicated in the median prices that we just looked at. They're all staying pretty flat. If we saw prices rising, I'm sure that's because sellers would be happy with the prices and we see those sales numbers a little bit higher. But bottom line, I think volume needs to come back to the market for us to tell where we are going to be settling in terms of those median prices. That's just what I'm seeing right now. Let me know what you're seeing though in the comments. Are you seeing prices up in your neighborhood? Are you seeing them flat? Are you seeing them come down? Anything that's really stood out to you in the last couple weeks? Let me know in the comments below. One more reminder, if you got some value out of this video, I do something like this every single week. So like this one, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend who's interested in learning a little bit more about the Greater Toronto Area real estate market. Let me know what you want to see stats-wise for the GTA going forward. Thank you so much for sticking with me right through to the end of another video. Enjoy your long weekend. Stay safe and cheers.